Hey, what's up, guys? Man, it's a nice morning out today. It's a little bit cool. It's cold in the house. Woke up this morning with no heat and blank thermostat. Did all the standard procedures for the blank thermostat. Got the vacuum out, sucked out the drain line, checked the breakers. No avail. So I'll have to get up into the attic and get a look at the unit. However, Jessica's still asleep, so I'm not going to do that right now. But anyways, I'm standing here next to this beautiful piece of machinery, Fiona, and we're going to talk about some things today that are going to make you sick to your stomach and hurt your heart just a little bit, and it does that to me as well. But then we're going to talk about some stuff that's going to happen that that might give a little bit of peace. But so you see right here, this is a brand new fuel transfer pump, $600, and this baby's getting ready to get put on. We're going to climb underneath there. We're going to grab the old one off. We're going to swap some fittings around. We're then going to collect up some of the hoses that we need to change, hydraulic and otherwise, and fuel, and we're going to go ahead and see about plumbing back in the fuel system, changing this filter here, putting on a filter housing. There's a lot of little stuff we're going to do and we're going to get this running. But let's talk about the bad things, all the bad things that happen. So if you guys remember from a video you're going to watch tomorrow, I went out to Blue Nasty. I call the blue and white CL9000 parts truck Blue Nasty because, well, I don't know, just because. These guys are hauling sand. There's a construction site going. Wish I could haul sand today. Been a nice day to get out there and pull the wagon full of sand. But anyhow, so from the video that you'll watch tomorrow, you'll see that I got the live cylinders and some lines and some other stuff. Blue Nasty brought it over and put it on this truck, and then I jacked the cab up and I moved the boards and I let the cab down, and when I went to jack the cab back up, it didn't move and it blew a line. And I wasn't thinking, what happens with these hydraulic cabs is the cylinder gets in a lock condition, won't go up, won't go down. And when that happens, it's very critical that you don't force the cab up because you can break it. And so because I had taken the cylinder over to Crystal and I jacked the cylinder all the way up and all the way down, I knew there was nothing wrong with the cylinder on this side. So it must have just been the fact that I broke the hose was the reason why this wouldn't go up. So I had my buddy with the crane come over and we pulled this thing up, and it was creaking. And if you watch the video when I set it down, it was creaking on the way down. The pins haven't been moved in decades. And I was standing on that side and I was watching that cylinder because I had not tested that cylinder, and it was moving. And the guy does run the crane is like, "Hey man, is that cracking okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's okay. The pins are just a little rusty." And we went up a little bit more, and the cab made a violent reaction, and I was like, "Oh man!" And yeah, I split this cab in half. So that's really bad. You know, I know better, and so I was very, very upset. You know, I love my trucks. I'm emotionally involved in my trucks, and when I hurt Fiona, it hurt my feelings. And man, I was really, really upset for, you know, a few hours, and I didn't think there was any way I could get the damage repaired. And it's a pretty major error, and but I did get it back together. It does need welded. And I'll try and show you what's going on in there, but it's super hard to see. But anyhow, I did break the cab in half, and at one point in time, I thought we were going to have to scrap this project, but after a few hours of twisting and bending and moving the cab and moving the frame back in under the cab and moving the floor back into the truck and all of the stuff that happened when it came apart, I do have it in a position now where I'm 100% confident I can weld the broken part of the frame of the cab. The cab on the Ford has a aluminum tube chassis, square box tube chassis that the cab is made on. Well, I'll just give you a show here. I'm super disappointed in myself. It sucks, but the good news is that I think I have it fixed. Now, I don't have any before pictures to show you, but the way it works is the cylinder goes into this big cast bracket, and this big cast bracket hucks through the frame rail. This is a frame rail right here. This is aluminum, and you can see that I broke it right there, which that's not a huge deal, right? Because it just cracked, no big deal, welded up. But also when it did that, it pulled the floor pan. This area right here was bowed way down. This was pulled out 1.5 inches. This is where the floor attaches to the frame, and it pulled that all out, and it bent this pinch weld. This is the rigidity of the frame, and you'll see this piece of metal. This stretched this down and pulled the throttle bracket and everything right out of the floor. I mean, it was a major damage. But I was able to, it actually sucked the floor down so far that it grabbed this whole fitting right here and sucked it up in between the frame rail and that. So that's how far the frame rail was down, about this far. And man, it was heartbreaking at first, and I didn't think I'd fix it. And I sent some pictures to Chad, and I was like, dude, I just completely screwed up. And you know, Chad's a pretty positive person, and Chad gave me a little encouragement and said, dude, you know, just get after it. And so I did. And through moving the floor back into the position and moving that fitting out of the way, and then bracing the cab up in spots and letting the weight of the cab come down and push that frame rail back up inside and close that gap. Heck, that gap was open this far, and now it's closed up to where I can weld it pretty easy, and I can plate it there. It's unfortunate because the damage happened, but you know, it's fortunate that that all the right things happened and I got all that stuff put back in there, because to be honest with you, I was at the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to break the news to everybody, and then I'm gonna pull the engine and transmission out of this truck and you know, say the ugly S word. And but anyhow, I avoided all that problem, and you know, it's back to where I can continue. But anyhow, just wanted to let you know that's what happened, and I feel horrible about it, actually. But you know, you get in a hurry and you don't think. And I was watching, like I said, I was watching that cylinder on that side because I had tested this side and I knew it was fine. But when these cylinders, when this cab stops moving, stop, brace it up, get in there, get the pins out of the cylinders, then raise the cab up. You'll be surprised how much damage can be done if you try and pick this cab up with a cylinder locked. It will break a cab in half. But anyhow, let's get after this fuel system. Let's get after some of this plumbing, and then we'll get this cab. We'll get this cab back down. Once we get the plumbing all done, we can start and shut off the thing from inside the cab. We'll get the cab back down. We'll get after the master cylinder for the clutch and the slave cylinder, and we'll see if we can get those apart and hone them out and get them put back together and see if we can get them working. We'll get the clutch working on this thing, and then we'll see about airing it up. And if we get the air to work, we get the clutch to work, we got the drive shaft in, maybe we take this thing for a little spin. I mean, I'm not expecting it to happen today, but you never know. So anyways, let's get after it. All right, so we're gonna get under there. We're gonna get that pump off, and then we're gonna get it out here, take the fittings off, and we'll get back under here and we'll put this new pump on, and then yeah, kind of a pain in the ass. And you know, it makes me angry because I paid a lot for this pump that's on here, and it turns out that somebody just screwed it together. You know, it's not a remanufactured pump like it was sold to me as, and that sucks because I know Crystal's engine wasn't any good, so don't get me wrong when I say this, but the reason why that thing ran so bad is low fuel pressure. And I know that now because this engine sounded just like it with this pump on there. I don't know. I guess we'll wait until I get this pump changed and everything works before I talk too much smack. All right, let's see about getting out of here now. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. All right, so there's the old pump, and yeah. So let me grab a rag, and we'll change these fittings. Just don't seem like there's much difference between the two. Okay. Okay. Makes me so nervous because if this doesn't work, I wasted $500. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of hose and a bucket and some stuff, and we're going to try it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold this over this way. We're going to crank this thing, see if we get any. All right, so I can see it sucking. How will I shut it off? That'll be interesting, right? Well, we got no return fuel. That's cool, you know. I think I saw it sucking some fuel out of that bucket, but I don't 100% know. This thing right here, this is gonna go because it's annoying to me. It's a copper line from the AC compressor. I also see a injector line leaking, so we'll have to get After that, we got no return fuel. So means that fuel pump's not doing anything that I expect it to do. Alright, so we're still just trying to get up in there and do its thing. There's a couple of bolts. We'll take this block out. Now this, I did some research. This block is it's an anti-pulsation block, and it's supposed to smooth out the fuel delivery to the injection pump. So it is important. We'll clear this out up here. I think this will clear that when it's down. But first thing I need to do is get it starting and stopping. And then get water in it and get it warm and see what kind of condition the cooling system's in, and get it ready for winter. Doesn't get super cold here, but it does sometimes get to freezing, so we want to make it safe. And then see if we can get it to build air, pressurize the system up, and see if we can get brakes working. And if all that happens, then we'll see about the throttle seems to be working now. So that's cool. But we'll need a throttle valve, and this is a very basic, very simple. Looks like 4 lines. I don't understand the 27 different lines on all these other trucks. This one's got 4 hoses going to it. This one's going to be simple. All right, so we got that. Let's get these holes cleaned out, and let's get that thing mounted up and see about we'll get this hose off as well. We'll get some stuff figured out here. Looks like we're gonna need 5/16 bolt. We'll be able to get bolts yet. All right, we'll be right back. All right, so I'm gonna use a aluminum fitting because that's what I have right now, but we'll get a brass one. You know, it's weird. We use aluminum on race cars, airplanes, but on semi-trucks we got to use steel or brass. Okay, so this is a return line. So we're going to grab a fuel filter, and we're going to grab a hand pump. Whoops. Okay. Fuel filter and hand pump. Move back. Alright, so moment of truth, will a filter fit in this space or not? It's hard to say. It sure doesn't feel like it wants to, but we gotta have it. So I don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe bend this copper tube out of the way. We'll maybe rerun this copper tube a different place, or we'll just grab one of those flexible ones. This is an awful big filter. Oh. Okay. Let me pop this thing back open. I think I hear fuel returning to the tank. Alright, so I'm gonna try and see if this shutoff works. See, the cable works. Yep, the shutoff works. Okay, so I should be able to shut it off right there. Now, I need to make sure okay, so that's not going to hit anything. That's not going to hit anything. This thing needs bushing. Let me see about the turbo. Alright. Should be good to go. Let's start this thing. Nope, ain't suckling any fuel. strange. I mean, very strange. Okay. This should have okay. There we go. I don't know who that is. All right, so we got her sucking out of a bucket, and that pump, and unfortunately, I bought a pump that I didn't need, but that's okay, because I need one for the other motor anyways, eventually, so, yeah. Just kind of sucks. 500 bucks I could have used on something else, but I panic bought, and then after the fact I was like, oh, I wonder if I could have just, you know, got that motor spinning a lot of RPMs, and if that pump would have taken off and pumped, and it would have, because it did. So I got a fuel filter on here. I got a couple things I need to tighten up. I need to loosen this. Okay. Untighten that. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to take this hose off. Take this hose off. Check them, make sure they're good. And change this filter. And get a new filter for there. And then put some fuel in this tank. And then get it to start and stop off this tank instead of this bucket. So we'll get down here and get this this line off. All right, so we got a fuel tank, got some fuel in it, got the hose running up to the new primary filter, hose running up to the fuel pump going to the secondary filter and pump through the new anti-flutter valve, or what do you want to call that thing, pulsation valve, into the pump. And the truck starts from inside. Starts and runs pretty good. You can't let it get too warm because you got a leaky radiator. But that's it. Guys, so there it is. It's fully running on its own fuel out of the tank. We got primary and secondary fuel filters hooked up, and we're gonna have to check the water, see if we can let it run and get it warm or not. But for now, that's it. Yeah, we got to get some coolant in there. I assume this thing's got green coolant in it because I don't think they had anything but green coolant back when this was on the road. So I don't think there's anything wrong with putting green coolant in it. Yeah. All right. A lot of crap in it. See a leak. Ow. Good thing I decided against putting coolant in it. Let's see. Okay, there's a couple leaks. This pipe, oh, that right there that's not tight, and someplace else. All right, we'll be back. All right, so was leaking. It had some hose clamps loose and had a wedge stuck in there for when they drain the water. I don't know why they drain the water. Maybe it's got a blown head gasket and they were gonna fix it. I don't know. We'll get up in here and commence to filling it again. Of course, I spill water as soon as I start, and then I got to try and decide. Oh yeah, it's running right out of there. Yeah, so it's coming. There's a hole in the bottom hose, and it's coming out of there, and it might be coming out of some places else as well. Looks like it is. So this tube, we'll take this radiator hose off, and that tube that goes back there has got a hole in it, so we'll have to make a new tube or buy a new tube. That's going to be fun. I think they were already trying to get it off of there at one point in time, but it's this connection here, and then it's also up inside. Hey, there's my glasses I've been looking for. See, it's leaking right here too. So this tube right here has got to come off. So we'll take this hose off, and then we'll take that hose off, and then all the water that's in the radiator is gonna have to come out. Great. Hey, what's up guys? Man, nice day out today. It's just about perfect temperature. So anyways, I'm standing here next to this gorgeous piece of machinery, Fiona. And well, today I think I'm gonna put this coolant tube in and a couple of clamps on, and before I do that, I'm probably gonna stick the hose in the radiator, get it nice and wet under there so I can be rolling around in the sopping wet dirt, and maybe get some of the rust out of the radiator. And then we're gonna pressurize this whole thing, and it's gonna surprise me if it doesn't leak in like 35 places. But anyways, we'll get down there. We'll get a quick look inside the radiator and maybe put this tube in and fill it up and see about getting it warmed up. So let me grab some stuff. That thing is rusty. So I think I'll clean that up. Oh man, it's more than rusty. I think I'll clean that up, and man, sucks you can't come under here and see anything that I'm doing, but basically I'm plumbing up this hose, and this piece I had bent up at the muffler shop. Now It's not exactly right, but I think it's close enough. So we're gonna test fit these pieces, and if it works, if it works out, then we'll take it back off. Okay, and then so we'll tighten that. Hopefully that's over that hump enough. And then well, I mean, what can we do? We'll put the clamps on, fill it up with water, and see what happens. All right? All right, I got a leak. I don't know where it's at. It's coming down onto the bottom hose from somewhere. There's a coolant pipe. Ouch! Right here. I can't feel it leaking. Huh. It's almost got to be what it is, and that is not going to be any fun at all if that's the case. Hopefully the block's not broke, because that would literally suck. Yeah. See it? Coming right out of that pipe. Now that pipe goes from the after cooler to the water pump, and it is gonna be a treat. Yeah, ain't gonna be nothing good about that. Man, nothing good about that at all. And I think that part is attainable, because it should be Caterpillar. Let's see if I can get us up in there. Yeah. All right, so that pipe goes from here down the front of the motor, makes a bend, and goes down there. So we'll take the fan off, then we'll take the pulley off, and then we'll be able to get to that. We'll get these alternator belts changed while we're at it, but that's not gonna be any fun. It shouldn't be too hard. There's a couple of bolts. I might even could get it because it looks like there's a clamp bolt there, and then one down there as well. And so we could take those off and then take this manifold maybe. But that's nice, super nice. So the saga continues. I just want to get this thing watered up and leak checked and then winterized, and that's just all part of it. If I do have to take the fan off, it's gonna suck because them bolts haven't been off in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, I don't know. And then yeah, that pulley is always a pain in the ass, and that tensioner. And then with those off though, I can get at it. We just take the fan off, drop it down in the shroud, take the pulley off, then pull the fan out, and then reach down there and get that part done. And then, you know, leave the fan and stuff off and water this thing up and see, make sure there aren't any more leaks before we put it all back together. I don't know if I'll do that today. I really need to get the engine out of Betty. So I'm gonna have some breakfast and think about it a little bit, and we'll be back. All right, guys, so I'm in here on Crystal's old motor, and this pipe right here is the one that's leaking on Fiona. So what I plan on doing is take this manifold off and see how easy it is to get that pipe off. Now there's some bolts that need to come off. There's 2 clamp bolts, and they just keep that, they're like an anti-rattle. There's one here, and there's one down there. It's just a little clamp that keeps that tube from vibrating, and we'll get after it. Oh boy, these bolts are gonna break off. For sure gonna break off. And I hope that's not a thing on Fiona, because that would suck to have to drill those out. But typical Caterpillar fashion, they use the wrong size bolts for the job. 1 out of 4 is going to come off. Let me look down here. I gotta get some propane tanks filled up. What do we got down here? Now this is a 2-bolt fitting down here, and these are bigger bolts, so let's see if these will come off. And I know you can't really see, but let's see if these break free, because this might be the answer. Now these are right on the main water manifold out of the water pump. Those might be difficult to get to in the cab over, but let's just see. I figured the top one would be a easier one to get to, but these bolts are stronger and bigger and stronger, so wow. All right, let's see. Okay. All right. Not a horrible deal. Now, we did break this gasket, so we may have to rig that back up, and we might have to condition this O-ring a little bit, a little Permatex. But we'll take this O-ring out, we'll clean this pipe up, and put the O-ring back in. We'll also save what part of this gasket we can, and create a new one if we have to. So it really wasn't horrible. Now, there's a lot more room right here than there was on Fiona. So, yeah. Missing a little bit of gasket, so we may have to create a new one. It won't be a big deal. We'll see what happens when we take Fiona's off. All right, let's go out there. We'll spray down those fasteners, and we'll see about getting that part off. And then once we get that off, we'll come back inside and compare the two and clean up crystals, create a gasket if we have to, and go from there. I can go right through this hole right here. Now I don't know if I can put any mojo on these bolts from here, but I can reach them, and that's a third of the battle, really. Ouch! The top of my hand still has this huge hole in it, and everything I do with my hand hurts. So that sucks a little bit. I'm gonna get in there and see about putting my arm in a different precarious position. The AC compressor is in there on a weird angle. If that thing didn't have an AC compressor, I could get right into those bolts. But we'll see. Can't get in there this way, it's too small. I can get in from here, but then I can't do anything once I get in there, because that's the extent of my arm. I don't know if I can get in here. Nope. And I can't get to it from the bottom. So, Rumpelstiltskin, you know? You guys know what I mean? Yeah. Guys, so I got it out. Now, there's just it's a pretty heavy duty piece, but there's a pinhole right here. And look at the rust coming out of this thing. Chances are this is just the beginning of stuff, but we'll get that other piece. We'll get these O-rings cleaned up, get the ends fixed up, grease them up. We'll get it goes in here and goes in there. We'll get that pipe down there, get it in, get this top piece in. I think the gasket stayed. Yeah, the gasket stayed on the manifold. So I think we're gonna be good. Let me rescue my sockets. I knocked my sockets off and every one of them came off the rail. No good. All right, so they look a little different, which I find very weird, but they're not. This is optical illusion. So we'll get this piece off, and then we'll get the O-ring off of it, and we'll get it cleaned up. Then when we put this back together, we'll put a little Permatex on there. These O-rings aren't in bad shape. But we'll get them cleaned up, and Parts guy. What'd you bring today? All right, guys, so we got the vacuum running because the motor is full of rusty rust. So where that coolant tube goes in the front of the motor, solid rust. So I'm gonna vacuum that out with the vacuum with shop vac. And it's a lot of work to get your arm in there. And then you gotta get a hold of the shop vac. And then you gotta push it in there. Okay guys, so man. So I'm just gonna be in there vacuuming the rust out of the motor and talking to you for a second. Now I'm editing this video from Korea, and I've lost some footage. I had I don't know if a drive died or something got full, but I ended up losing some footage. And so you're not going to get to see me putting the coolant bypass tube or whatever that is for the aftercooler back on the motor, because that footage is gone. So as I'm just standing here trying to vacuum out the hole, give you a brief description of what's going to go on next. I'm going to get that tube you just saw me cleaning up put back on the engine, and I'm going to stick the hose back in the radiator, and it's going to fill up for about 3 minutes, and then water's going to be pouring out just like it has been every other time I tried to fill it up. And then I'm going to get in there and try and figure out where it's coming from, and then see that it's seriously obvious that we have to get another piece of pipe made for another location, and then it's just going to cut off after that. And it's going to be an hour long, so I'm going to let it go at that. I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out jamespretty.shop, and we'll see you. Appreciate you. All right, so pinhole there, pinhole there.